Hi, fourth graders. Time for your last language assignment for this week. Depending upon when you're watching it, it's supposed to be on Friday the 17th, but whenever you do it is great to me. Let's have God give us just the insight and the wisdom that we need to focus on what we're doing today. God, thank you for giving us everything that we need. You know what we need even before we know it. You provide us with all that gives us everything that you want us to have. And God, now we need some wisdom and some insight to be able to understand these these language lessons. And we just want to be able to speak clearly and to communicate our very best with the people around us. We love you. Thank you. Amen. All right, yesterday and the last couple of days actually, we have been talking about independent and dependent clauses. Now, today, we're going to take a little departure from that, but I want to get back to what you did for homework last evening, which was 288, about another type of fragment, which is the difference between the dependent and the independent. The independent, of course, is a complete sentence all on its own. It has a subject, it has a predicate with a verb, and it has a complete thought. It's not missing anything. It doesn't feel like you're just getting stopped and having something gone missing for you. Whereas the dependent one feels as though something needs to be added, because something does need to be added, the other half of the sentence. And it also often begins with one of those joining words that we talked about. Remember, the joining words were although, because, since, until, when, and where. So be kind of on the lookout for those. Kind of have your radar attached to those. Now, you did 288 for homework, and of those 10, 5 of them were independent and 5 of them were dependent. I hope that you found those. You should have found that the independent ones, the ones that were just fine like they were 1, 3, 7, 8, and 10. 1, 3, 7, 8, and 10 were just perfect like they were. So all you had to do was write I see, and you were done. Whereas 2, 4, 6, 8, and 9, no, not 8, 2, 4, 5, 6, and 9 were dependent, and they needed something removed from them. All you had to do is remove that joining word at the beginning, like on number 2 was although. Take that out, and then the sentence is perfect, just like it is. On number 4, remove the because, and it's just fine. Number 5, take out the until. Number 6, take off the since. And then number 9, take off the when. And then the sentences were just perfect like they were. So hopefully that's starting to get cemented in your mind, the difference between those. Now, what looks like, if you'll turn the page, what looks like to be a complete departure is really, really not. The title of today's lesson is using commas, and commas are going to be very crucial in getting those dependent and independent clauses attached properly to where your sentences are how they're supposed to be. However, there are other uses for commas as well. So this is a list of 8 different ways that you can use a comma. Some of them are very familiar to you and you already know them, like number 1 up here, for example. Let's see, September 24th, 2020. I would imagine that you remember that between the date, I'm going to put a caret with a comma. Remember that little shaped thing like this is called a caret, C-A-R-A-T, not the kind you eat, but the kind that you put here. A caret says I'm going to add something in. It's one of those proofreading type of skills that you'll know what they are. Okay, so September 24th, caret, comma, 2020. You're also going to have a space right here. Don't forget that. Then the second use for a comma is between a city and a state. So Riverside, comma, California. Houston, comma, Texas. Orlando, comma, Florida. A city and a state needs a comma and a space between them. Number 3, the third use for a comma would be items in a series. Like if we bought red, yellow, and blue balloons. We're going to put commas between them, showing that each one of them has their own place, and each one of them, these are items in a series. I'm going to call on Rosie, Kiala, comma, and. So Rosie, comma, Kiala, comma, and Gianna, that kind of thing. When you're listing 3 things or 4 things, usually you don't go too much beyond 4 or it just gets wordy. But at least 3 on that. Number 4, I like chocolate ice cream, but she likes strawberry. Now this one right here, this is one that's going to directly go with what we've been talking about the independent and dependent clauses. If you start, if I can move on this way, look right here. I like chocolate ice cream. That's a perfectly fine sentence. We've got a verb here, like, we've got a subject I, and it tells the complete thought, I like chocolate ice cream. That's an independent clause. But over here, but she likes strawberry. Notice we've got a whole sentence here, she likes strawberry, but we've also got a connecting word, a conjunction. Anytime you have a conjunction between a whole sentence on this side, a whole sentence on this side, you've got to have a comma and a conjunction. So we've got to have a comma before the conjunction on that one. Okay? Number 5 is when people start talking. There are several rules about dialogue when people are talking. You've got to have a comma when the person stops talking and they just repeat what's being said. Like, for example, if Mother was talking and she says, dinner is ready, she's not going to say, dinner is ready, Mother announced. I'm not going to say, Mrs. Murdoch said, look at page 15. I'm just going to say, look at page 15. So this part of the sentence needs to be separated from the actual words that the person says. So quotation marks, dinner is ready, comma, quotation marks, another space, Mother announced. So you need to have the comma separating what they actually said, the words, and just the ending part that replies, okay? Number 6, here's another one with quotation marks. Here's somebody talking. Do you know where my purse is? Grace's mother might ask her that. But if she says her name, that's called direct address. In other words, you're directly using someone's name. With items like this that are direct address, you're going to put a comma after the person's name before the rest of it that she says. Do you know where my purse is? Because you know that you could just say that without the grace. Okay? So direct address you can remove and the sentence will still make sense. It will still be good independent clauses. But if you're going to use somebody's name and speak to them, you're going to have to put a comma around it. Here's another one, same sentence. Do you know where my purse is? But the grace is over here at the end. But it's the same item. You're still going to have to put a comma before her name because her name is directly being addressed. You could say it without her name. Do you know where my purse is? Yes. Okay? So, before and after with the name. Third way, same thing. 6, 7, and 8 kind of go together. Look, it's the same sentence again. Do you know Grace? Well, yeah, I know Grace, but that's not what the sentence is about, right? Do you know, Grace, where my purse is? What they're really wanting to know is, do you know where my purse is? They're just sticking the name in the middle of that. Just like we had it here at the beginning, here at the end, here in the middle. Again, so it's got to have comma around both sides of it. Number 9. Number 9 are little introductory words that we're always going to put commas around, sort of like the grace on it. We're going to say, yes, comma, I will be there at 3 o'clock. Someone asked me where I was going, and I say, I'm going to be there at 3 o'clock. I could also say, yes, comma, I'm going to be there at 3 o'clock. It's the same meaning, it has the same sentence, but I'm just giving the affirmative. There are 3 of those introductory words. Let's see, let me write them up here for you. Yes, no, and well. Any of those 3, you're going to put commas around. Yes, comma, I'm going to do something. No, comma, I'm not going to do something. Well, comma, I'm not going to do it, or I am going to do it. So any of those 3 words, you're going to have a comma around, to separate it from the other parts. Now this last one is a little bit like the stuff from yesterday too. Kind of like number 4 there. A little bit bigger. There we go. After, do you see, remember that was one of those introductory joining words, so I'm going to circle it. Because that should kind of click in my head. Oh, that means I'm going to have to join something. You're not going to use a joining word if you're not joining anything. After the spring band concert, remember from yesterday, doesn't that feel like there ought to be more? Yes, it does feel like there ought to be more. So if there ought to be more, and there is, I'm going to put a comma around it, okay? After the spring band concert, the audience applause. Because the audience applause is a complete independent clause all on its own. But it's got this other part that wants to be connected to something. This is the dependent part, and it wants to be connected using this joiner. So you put a comma between them. So those are the 8, I know you use 10 sentences, but these 3 go together as one. Those are the 8 different uses for a comma. So climb right into your book really quickly, 289. Let's see if we can figure some of these out. Number 1 on 289 says, before Bethany's surprise birthday party, we had a storm. Same sentence, only one's got a comma and one doesn't. The top one has a comma after party. Remember, the use for a comma is to show a pause in the writing. A natural pause, again, so that somebody can think and process what you're saying, so that you can breathe. If you had no commas or no periods, you would have no stops, and it would be very difficult to read. And there's going to be a natural progression of I'm going to pause right here. I'm going to, right there. So, am I going to say, before Bethany's surprise birthday party, we had a storm? Or, before Bethany's surprise birthday party, we had a storm? The first one sounds more natural. It sounds like there's a natural pause there. So that should be the top bubble of the 2 is the correct one. Number 2, I think mom that I would like vanilla ice cream. I think mom. Is the mom part of the sentence, or is mom who we're talking to? I think, comma, mom, like this one. Do you know, comma, Grace, where my purse is? I think, comma, mom, etc. So yes, so we've got a direct address right in the center. So the correct one on that would be the bottom one. Number 3, we're going to add some commas where they're needed in these. Number 3 says, where did you leave your homework? Have you had your mother ask you that the last couple of days or so? But did she add your name on it or not? Because if she did, she would have to say, where did you leave your homework? Comma, Alana. Where did you leave your homework? Comma, Reed. All of those kind of things. Whenever they toss your name in there, it's not really part of the sentence. It's really just to get your attention. So it needs to have a comma around it. So we need a comma before Zachary and after homework. Number 4, let's go to the park. This one is like number 5. Dinner is ready. Go to the park, comma, mother announced. So mother's not saying mother announced, just like Travis is not saying said Travis, just like I'm not saying look at number 3, said Mrs. Murdoch. I'm not saying that. So the part that's got quotation marks on it are the actual words, and then there needs to be a comma separating the real words and the part that finishes it up, the said or replied part. Number 5, no, comma, remember, yes, no, and well. Yes, comma, whatever, no, comma, I don't know the answer to the question, or well, comma, I don't know the answer. Sometimes it just gives us a chance to think, those little yes, no, or wells. But anyway, they need to have a comma with them. Number 6, Roscoe, I think that's the dirty dog there. Roscoe, comma, you need a bath. Couldn't you look at the dog and just simply say, you need a bath? Of course we could, but if you put his name on the front of it, it needs to have a comma before it and after it if it's in the middle. Here it's at the beginning, so we just put it after. Number 7, after the toddler's long nap, pause, you see the after? That's a joining word saying, I need to be joined with something else because I'm not complete. After the toddler's long nap, comma, he was happy. All right, so I hope that gives you a really good idea of how to work with these sentences and how to work with these commas. I'm going to let you then do 290 on your own and finish that up. Hopefully you will be able to find all of them quickly. All right, have a great, great weekend, and I'll see you back here next week.